Oh, got you good. Welcome to Shyzalosophy 101. Yeah, I love that part. Great to be alive. Here's your host, Shyzabox. Oh, the show's starting. Get out of the way. Hurry up. Oh, that's our introduction. We know it when we hear it. Oh, everybody loves us. Giddy up. Giddy up. Whoa, girl. Ladies and gentlemen, get out of here. Not you, the horse. You get out of here, there's no show. Therefore, and the horse you rode in on. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome nuns and all. That's right, priests, preachers, rabbis, cardinals, bishops, Alcoholics Anonymous, missionaries, anyone walking around, motorcycle clubs. Guess they'd be riding around. Welcome nuns, welcome all. We've got a fantastic show for you today, and by fantastic, of course, we mean free. Because, obviously, remember, you get what you paid for. So, needless to say, we've got a show for you today, regardless of however subjectively you view it to be. And as we get our feet under ourselves and think to ourselves, you know, we're just kicking it. Might as well do an additional little hangout session, right? And what better way than to at least have a foundational to, kind of base it on and just kind of go with the disposable logic, right? Now, you might be saying, you can't just dispose logic. Well, you absolutely can. You get rid of it. All right. We're going to get into a little more of the philosophical means and endeavors with which we do. We don't want to look super crazy on the internet, right? Good old Shyzabox can't just go around talking about how he theoretically decoded Voynich manuscript and not expect any kickback, right? That's right. That's why we have all of our math and notebooks open source. Go audit us. We don't hide behind the math. We don't hide behind the science. Do that of which you will. Yeah, go check it out. Kaggles don't lie, but we don't want to look ridiculous any more than we do, so if we're doing a pickup game of philosophy, let's put on our philosophy thinking hat so we don't look absurd. That would be foolish. I don't want to just look absurd and, do pickup games of philosophy. Good. Excellent. Now that we have our philosophy hat on, we can continue to produce crap. Excellent. What was that? See, what many folk who stumble upon here fail to realize is that we watched a little show called Walking Dead. That's right. You've probably heard of it. They had 6, 7 seasons. We're joking, it was 10 or 11. But look how we worked that in because of how funny and awesome we are. This show sucks. What? Keep those comments to yourself, Mom. Trying to trick ones of subscribifications here. Obviously, in watching Walking Dead, we took it upon ourselves to adapt the best practices and principles that show kind of took on itself. You might be thinking, get captured at the end of every season only to escape at the beginning of the next. No. That's not what we took on from Walking Dead. Psh. We took on the fan favorite the same way everybody else did. That's right. We honed into that Daryl Dixon and we thought to ourselves, if we can't have him, that's a shame. Wait, what? Anyhow, obviously, in watching The Walking Dead and familiarizing ourselves inside and out with Daryl Dixon, we took it upon ourselves to, of course, go ahead and declare Daryl Dixon dibs on being the best of the worst internet celebrities there is. Hey, there you go. All right, so obviously that affords us the opportunity to, yes, be an internet celebrity in one way, shape, or form, okay? But we're never going to compete with those good ones. We know our place. It's the bottom of the pile. That's right. The show's never going to be good. Show's always going to suck. But our personal guarantee to you in calling Daryl Dixon Dibbs best of the worst internet celebrity there is that inherently any other show that you like and or love more than this one, unlikely, but maybe, our guarantee to you is that it will be way better now. Guaranteed. It's like, well, I mean, I did put up with Shyzabox for a couple seconds today. And it's like, oh, man, your life isn't that bad after all. That's right. Something to celebrate, Internet. Another's failure is your own success, right? Look to your brethren and smite them and steal what they have. Yes, of course, celebrate that, Internet, for those are the metrics that the world works on, is it not? Covet thy neighbor's wife, steal thy neighbor's goods, and or murder thy neighbor's brethren and kindred. Now, obviously, this is all for philosophical entertainment, and we dictate and say not to do any of those, believe it or not. Okay? Now, just because the world's operating on those crazy metrics that, I don't know, go against the 10 Commandments, well, to each his own, right, world? Let that of the reserved judgment with which we do not claim to be allowed to take it upon ourselves to judge that of others with. Let us take that reserved judgment that we do not use and let that of bygones be bygones and at least start a foundational basic knowledge of understanding in lithic rock. Knowledge that we can at least set aside our petty differences. Hello and hi, who's that? Alexis? We can call you Alexis, right? Now, of course we can. A-Money, welcome to the show. So, A-Money, we were talking about how just because the world works, you know, against the 10 Commandments as of late, or so it seems, okay? Maybe that's just our opinions. Again, this is all for philosophical entertainment, which reminds us, before we get too much further into the show, we need to apologize for something last stream. That's right, we can't be perfect all the time. That's God's job. But pertaining to our last stream, whoops, sorry about that. There you go. See? Forgive and forget, right? Let bygones be bygones. No need in looking into anything further. You know, people say crazy stuff all the time. People spill their coffee all the time and don't know how to drink from their cups. Or just us, I don't know. This show's horrible. What? We promised you it would be. Everything else you watch, gonna be better. As we hone into that of disposable logic and things of that nature, of course, we ourselves are geared in a quite unique situation right now, okay? That's right. We are not beholden to an NDA. We are not under any kind of contractual obligation at the present moment, and we do not have to answer or adhere to any kind of HR department. So, we can play around with all sorts of powerful cosmological philosophy and things of that nature at our will and whim. Now, believe you me, Internet, sure, we can play by ourselves and play with ourselves all day long. We've done it before. Watch how you're considering that. You sick bastards. We played with ourselves before. We played with ourselves all day long. But it's more fun to play with others. That's why when you start making games, when you start making demos, when you start, you know, enacting and working with things like Lectin and, you know, their capabilities and the parameters with which they can afford you to extract and deduce and, you know, correlate all sorts of, you know, different interesting components and aspects of whatever you desire, okay? That's right. The sky is the limit. When you reinterpret, you know, kind of Fiedler values, when you reinterpret those, however you pronounce it, reinterpret those, okay, over how well you can connect to different components and aspects of your grid, okay? When we utilize lithic stone logic, okay, when we have that of the solid light of truth guiding our way, okay, afforded to by the powers that be, of course, utilize that of your own understanding with that of your own understanding. When you utilize that of what would be disposable logic, okay, that of, in essence, Landauer. Now, Landauer, very important to the works that they, brought forward and, brought forth with, okay? Interpreting a broken system in a kind of closed manner is exactly what was accomplished and done, okay? Accounting for the entropy and the correlations of, heat sink and things of that nature, all right? Or, a decoupling and, any kind of entropy as a result, okay, as well, additionally. It was correct in its essence and everything like that, but to utilize that of a better working metric, a better working mechanic, theoretically, and obviously, in a more than plausible manner, okay, only unempirically validated, okay? Metaphysically validated, computationally validated, just non-empirically validated. Funny how that works. Almost as if there's a break or a breakdown, or the system itself might have a little bit of a broken component or aspect there to it. Right? I don't know why you'd celebrate that. That's a limitation in mankind's abilities to cognitively disseminate truth from not truth. Now that is funny, because obviously mankind's kind of stupid. Now, don't get us wrong, mankind's incredibly smart. Yes, equally jokeable. But mankind is smart in their own accord as well. That's right. The same way that you can have any kind of solid understanding of, One Direction, not the band. Believe you me, there's no adequately understanding that group. They just are. Perfect. What? Everything's fine. Oh, what was that? So anyhow, as you go and start looking into, the different kind of solid states and the substrates that, may in there be existent, and thereupon that you can base things, all right, just reinterpret the Fiedler values, Fiedler, I don't know, Fiedler, those ones. Reinterpret those, and you can, in essence, just make Landauer disposable logic, okay? You don't need to inherently force bits into unstable states, okay? Use something like resonance, all right? Let's utilize a working metric to showcase this example. Now, you can't inherently, all right, not by logical reasoning, force things into a state and allow there to be zero entropy or anything like that. If we want to make this, okay? We cannot disseminate how many different pieces we may need. Well, we can. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 or 9 pieces, okay? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right? 8, 9 pieces, okay? All right, good. So we have what we want to make. We have the pieces to make it. Now, theoretically, we might have counted wrong. Who knows? We're mankind. Mankind gets shit wrong all the time, right? That's why in our book, New Non-Native Species on Mankind's Origin, we approach that of our misguided timelines. All right, so we got what we want to make. We got the pieces to make it. Now, ironically, we can go about doing that a couple different ways, okay? We can utilize that of the techniques and tactics that have been implemented and in place for quite some time. Now, we view it as a little bit of a misinterpretation of how things should work in operation. Okay? Now, keep in mind this all for philosophical entertainment. Utilize that of your understanding, that of what you will. But, like we said, you cannot force bits into these kind of, unstable states. All right? Pardon, we had to wet the whistle. We'll probably do it again, too. Why not? We get to do what we want. It's our show. Hey, he didn't spill it on himself this time. What? Jerks. All right, we want to make this. We have the pieces and the parts to make that, all right? And let's go one step further and say that we're going to try and do it our way and the way that mankind's been doing it, okay? Just to try and showcase our point of you can't force things like bits, okay, information, knowledge, okay, especially computationally, into a unstable state. It's not good. That's where you get your entropy. That's where you get your heat. That's where you have this, you know, coupling and decoupling of erasure of information and taking up all this heat and needing to have all of these thermal heat sinks and stuff like that, okay? It's ridiculous. It's a misinterpretation of logic. Okay, we didn't invent this stuff. It already existed. All right, so we want to make this. We have the pieces to make that, and we want to make it twice, because we're going to do it how mankind makes it, okay, currently with binary coding and things like that. Then we got enough pieces to make another one that we're going to do a good old Shyzabox's technique and method, okay, using stable resonance, okay? Resonance stability. A different tactic, different technique. They work differently, ironically. All right, so this is what we want to make. Let's go ahead and utilize the techniques of binary coding. Let's utilize the techniques of prioritizing the speed of an erasure and a coupling and whatever of information at all costs. Okay, speed be damned is the most damn the torpedoes, full speed ahead, okay? None of that made sense. It doesn't matter, okay? Don't prioritize speed, but we're going to in this case, all right? So we're going to make this. We got the pieces. We got the parts. And ideally, how things are stated now, logically, okay, if we were to, you know, put it against that of our working model, okay, computationally verifiable, okay, we don't hide behind the math, we don't hide behind the science, we have open source Kaggle notebooks, and believe you me, we are entirely an open book. You go sign up for Kindle Unlimited, read any of our literary wares for free. Do not buy this book, especially Delectable, okay? It's Thermodynamic Enlightenment at a price tag. It priced itself. The book became living. Big thing. We did streams on it. Doesn't matter. We're running a whole metric test called Dumbtectable. If you buy a copy of Delectable, your ass is going up on the board, believe you me, in the form of a metric number, because, you know, we keep track of it. All right. We're making this shape. We're going to use binary coding, and we are going to use how mankind does now by forcing bits into an unstable state, okay? Now, these don't exist like this on its own, right? They exist like this, individual one piece, okay? Not the awesome anime. Believe you me. Monkey D. Luffy. We are hip with it. You may subscribe. Fuck that, I'm downvoting. Okay, fair enough, do that. Doesn't matter. We don't care. That's the difference between this stream and good ones. We don't care. Good old Shyzabox is blessed enough to want for naught. We aren't under an NDA, and we don't work for a big company now. We don't have to adhere to an HR department. We can fire off at the hip. Coding binary methods, and we are going to force into a state. So we got all the pieces, okay, enough to warrant it. Let's see how this turns out. Internet's crazy, right? All right. Let's force them into a state. Well, shit. Looks like we didn't make it. All right, well, we tried, right? But guess what? You know, there's a rule. If you do something, there's going to be some heavy energy for moving and attempting that, right? Well, guess what? I'm going to have to energy my ass around the studio and clean all that shit up, okay? That's the thermodynamic trade-off, okay, and trying to make this by using binary coding and forcing things into it, prioritizing speed in an attempt to do so. All right, but let's reminisce to a little something called Aesop's Fables. Now, obviously, good old Shyzabox, some good old philosophy, and believe you me, there's a reason why the tortoise and the hare is as popular as it is, because a lot of people are slow. Ourselves included. We're extremely slow. All right? But when you slow down, when you use what resonates, you don't need high entropy, all right, to at least attempt to start to make the structure that you want to attempt to make, all right? It might not always come out perfect. It might not always come out exact, but we guarantee you when you take your time and slow down versus using a metric of binary coding and a prioritization of your erasure, coupling, decoupling of information, all right? You cannot force bits, okay, into an unstable state. They didn't do it, and the energy and the dissipation of that is now the extra expenditure of energy that I'm going to have to go pick that shit up, okay? If you take your time, you may couple, and you may resonate, and you may decouple theoretically and computationally verified on our behalf that we don't hide behind the math or science of in our Kaggle notebook. Knock yourself out, okay? If you go slow, if you resonate a little more, okay, you can foundationally begin to at least expand on the metrics that you're involved there within and try and adapt them, try and improve them, try and make them better and closer to resemble that of what initially you're setting out to do. That's right. Well, look at that, partner. They look pretty all right. Now, Shyzabox created a good old ShythoniCorn code, all right, that utilizes a trinary computational coding technique. All right, this is a tupled computational code, all right, that uses trinary script using orthogonally communicating methodologies to disseminate the prioritization with which, okay? It outperforms binary code fairly easily and fairly efficiently, okay? Now, we don't hide behind a bold claim like that, okay? If we have an executable trinary code that outperforms binary code, we should have an example and a metric for people to audit and research. So we do. Go to our Kaggles, check it out, okay? We want not to hide behind any math, as we do not hide behind any math. But there is a basic understanding and knowing that you cannot literally force bits into a unstable state and expect it to maintain a stability to it. You must slow down, you must do it appropriately, and we theorize beyond theory as far as we're concerned, that of Lithic Logic, that of that stone, lithic, stone, okay, foundation, that knowledge, that information, all right, that alone inherently is what the ancients based thereupon their entire grid and civilization, okay? You can look at, all right, the submerged Azur's plateau, and you can put in line with the, pyramids of Giza and Stonehenge, and you can utilize a 92% efficient geothermal methodology, okay, to energize an entire planetary grid, okay? Theoretically, computationally verified via a SHA seal, mind you. Funny how that works. We use SHA ceilings on most of our computations, so if you're going to argue any of that, good luck. Believe you me, we don't hide behind the math, we don't hide behind the science, because it's pretty ironclad and solid. Where's Transmutating God? Not literally our book. It's ironclad. Now we know it's reverses backwards, you can't read it, it's beside the point. It's yet another showcasing of that of the brilliance of our incorporations of a word. But that's pretty much, I guess all that we had to say, today. You can use disposable logic, reinterpret the laws of thermodynamics and things like that. You can utilize lectin as thermodynamic enlightenment, okay? In this book, at a price tag, obviously. But, lectin are free. Go to town. You can use lectin as much as you want. You can go through our X, our Bluesky, our LinkedIn, or whatever, comb through old chats and streams and things of that nature, videos that we've made. Knock yourself out. Okay? Look there in a pond, for we have, told you iterations and utilizations there with lectin for now, quite some time. And believe you me, we've had fairly quite good metrics of success therewith. Now, You might question and wonder to what degree, and you might question and wonder, what is a metric of success, all right? Fair enough. But believe you me, all truth, all glory inherently goes back to that of the source, all right? And we are not the source of this knowledge. We are not the source of this information, okay? All this was here before us. May it be here long after us, and, may the everlasting light of truth and that of God reign supreme always, okay? Insert deity and or belief system of your choice. Set aside the petty BS and let us lay that foundation and work together moving forward. That's right. Now, as we begin to run out of swill, as we do, we think to ourselves now, in essence, moving beyond Landauer and not having to maintain and adhere to, the forced methods of trying to use information, all right? We are talking about, in essence, reversible computing, okay? It is inherently straight up reversible computing that, in essence, we are doing. We utilize, a K3 and P3 bridge that can universally go unilaterally both ways, okay? We don't hide behind our math. We don't hide behind our science. It's available for auditability for anyone who wishes to disseminate and utilize that therewith, okay? We utilize the resonantial frequency because it is far superior to that of the metric of trying to force everything into a closed state. Not fun, not good, and believe you me, not efficient, okay? We might be slow doing things on our own pace and our own accord. It might be a straight-up Aesop fables race between that of Shyzabox as the tortoise and society as that of the hare, doing that of what it does. Procreating inefficiently and probably grotesquely. Theoretically, I don't know. What? What's that even mean? What kind of show is this? What metrics are you measuring? I don't know. Don't worry about it. Point is that as we run out of swill, we think to ourselves, feel free, ask us any questions in the emails, the chats, the Blueskys, the X, do that of what you will. For we don't hide behind anything, and we enjoy very much so working with other people, doing that of what they need, okay? You need something done, you got some project or a question that you have or whatever, like, what do you think happened to civilization? I don't know. All sorts of crazy stuff. We got all sorts of books, too, that, you can disseminate that information to yourself therewith, should you choose. Go to Kindle Unlimited, read them all for free. Okay? You don't have to pay for anything. Information is free. Be sure, if you do like to buy books, and you do buy books, just be sure don't buy this one, okay? We're measuring it. If you buy this book, Delectable, your ass is going up on the board, okay? Not you personally, but your metric number. So, do not buy Delectable, obviously, okay? Hands down. It makes humanity stupid, and at the same time, proves humanity stupid, okay? Do not buy this book, okay? Promise. Okay. Aside from that, Dumbtectable is still going on, which is just hilariously fun, and that's about it. So as we move beyond Landauer, we encourage anyone else to do so as well for all of our information, knowledge, theory, this, that, the other is free on the IPFS site. Go play some working demos, some games, whatever. If you're having trouble loading that or waiting your turn on the 500, 502, 504 errors, then go to the Pinata pinned free versions because we don't have the money to pin our entire site to Pinata. Now, maybe one day, Internet, but believe you me, we like the free version, and you should too. So, that's all we have for you today. Be sure you take care of yourself first and foremost, because there's only one you. We cannot replace you easily. We can't just go around making accounts, subscribing to ourselves anymore. We got in trouble for that. And believe you me, we can't do that. So, be sure you take care of yourself, look around, take care of your neighbors or anyone else who really, really needs it second, because they might really need it and not know how to ask you, all right? So you take care of them second. Then you look around the room, see anyone else that you like or love more than us. Unlikely, but maybe, okay? 6, 7 people you might like or love more, okay? You take care of them third. But you see us peddling our wares where they're saying like, oh, go buy Pickled Punk Philosophy, go buy Nail and Kalimba, right? And we're, sitting there in the lobby waiting room, and you're, contemplating going to Amazon.com, maybe searching Shyzabox books and being like, what's all this about, okay? Well, if you feel like doing that, that'd be great, But take care of yourself first, those who really need a second, okay? We will, inherently get that of what is afforded to us, and we currently want not for our daily bread. So take care of yourself first, those who need a second, anyone else you like or love more than us third. If you got any crap left over at the end of the day, we'll take it. Because remember, we don't want your subscription, we want your money. Downvote the shit out of this, go to Cashapp and give us a buck, or go to Amazon.com, search Shyzabox books and buy one of them. Or Kindle Unlimited, search Shyzabox books, download them, and read them for free. Get off our lawn!